And hello everyone, Lights and Gear is back, and today's flashlight is the latest from Nitecore. This is part of the MT series, multitask, and this is the 22C, as you can tell here. 1000 lumens using a Cree XPL HD V6 LED, and an 18650 battery is the intended power source, with of course other types of batteries as well, including CR123s, also RCR123s, the rechargeable type, and you can also use two 18350s as well. Now the selling point of this particular light is that it has infinite brightness, and it has one of these little tuning dials on it, which is sort of like a magnetic control system kind of thing, a rotary switch in other words. So here your brightness can go from 0.5 up to 1000 lumens. And I read some independent testing which have actually clocked this a little higher than 1000, depending on battery type, so that bodes well for the MT22C. It's a familiar box. Nitecore makes them pretty much all the same these days, with bits of information here along the side. As you can see, it's impact resistant to 1 meter, and it is waterproof to 2 meters. And there's your candle power there, and beam distance is at about 185 meters. And a little more information here on the back, not too much though, pretty much sums up what you've seen elsewhere on the box. So as we open her up, you'll get pretty much the same type of presentation inside as you would from any Nitecore product. So here you go with everything intact. Let's first take a quick look here at the instruction manual, and it's pretty well written and comes in about 10 different languages. The English is easy to read, and it's just on one complete fan sheet like this, or one complete sidebar almost. So everything you want to know about the flashlight is right here. And your accessories within the package, well, you do get the Nitecore belt loop here, belt sheath, which is pretty typical of their products. And this particular light which I got, of which there is a link below, I picked this up off Amazon, and with this particular bundle you get a couple of batteries. There are other options, of course, which come with an 18650, and you might want to check one of those out. But this one came with two CR123 disposable batteries, so of course you can get it like this. So again, that's your belt holster. And then over here we have the little accessory package here with a lanyard. There's also two O-rings in here, and a spare switch cap. So that's part of that little accessory part. And then the flashlight is right here. It is of typical size for a light like this, at just over 5 inches long, and of good weight. This is the control switch here, which is a little different from, I mean, not all control switches are created equal, and you wouldn't really want them to be. So Nitecore has put their own little spin on it here, no pun intended. And what I found immediately was that this seemed a little bit tight, and it does have good tension on it for good reason, so it's not going to move itself while in a pocket or anything. But it is relatively easy to turn, as you can see, even just with one thumb. So it does work. It does work quite well, except with most dials of any type, you'll always find them going in a clockwise position to increase whatever it is you need to increase. But in this particular case, this is backwards, and they did that intentionally. So with the light on, in order to dim, you have to go clockwise, and to increase, you go counterclockwise, as you can see right there. So anyway, let's get to the details here as things move along. Here is your tactical switch on the bottom, and it is tactical, so any press like that, any light press, will give you momentary light. The pocket clip is originally inside the little accessory bag, but I did attach it. And there is also a where did the ring go? There's a tactical ring, which actually seems to have fallen by the wayside. Oh, here it is. Came out already. Here's the tactical ring, which was on there originally. And obviously that comes off or goes back on. And you can attach that as you want and use that in a tactical manner. And here's some embossing on here, and here's the name right there. You have some reasonably good knurling. Here's your LED, which is your XPL HD V6. And this isn't terribly deep in here. It's a relatively shallow reflector, and this is the reason for the fact that it just gets like what was it as far as beam distance goes. Doesn't get nearly as long beam distance as a lot of other XPL lights, and that is due to the shallow reflector. And personally, I kind of like that because it gives a little bit more of a wider beam as opposed to a tight spotlight. So as I was saying before about the batteries, obviously you can use the variable types of rechargeable, and inside the cap here you have your usual spring. I have an 18650 in here right now, and one thing that should be noted is that I have not found that it accepts any flat top batteries, excuse me. I have found that only my button tops will work. So whereas I do have several flat tops, and I have tried those and it does not make a connection. So that's one thing to keep aware of. There's just the stub up in the top there, the post up in the top, so there's no spring in there, but there is the spring in the cap. But I found that none of my flat tops will work, so I've had to use only button tops. But of course, as I showed you a few moments ago, you can use CR123 disposables. You can also use their rechargeable cousins, the 16340, and even the slightly thicker 18350s will also fit in the light, and they'll work just fine. I have not found that any of the batteries produce any brighter light. The output has been the same with all types of batteries that I've had in here. So the extra voltage of two 18350s or two 16340s will not necessarily give you a brighter beam. The only thing I found on this is that indoors and on a white wall you will see that the LED has several artifacts, if you will, and the beam almost looks a little bit squared. So that was what I noticed when I first turned it on and put it on a white wall, as I do with most flashlights when I get them, just to sort of look at the beam and see what shape and color it is. This actually almost has a tint too of a slightly warmer LED. It's not entirely cool, but in real outdoor use, real flashlight use, you won't notice that that squaredness to the beam. Obviously, if it's far enough out and turned up high, that won't be an issue, but indoors it does give you a little bit of an oddity to it. But let's turn off the light here. And so as the dial works here, very simple. All you do is turn it, and you'll get as low as you want or as high as you can go. Basically, this is like 0.5 lumens here at the very lowest level. And of course, that's always good for illuminating something up close. It's sort of like a moonlight mode. So as I turn the dial and turn it up, keep going and keep going and keep going, and there is the highest mode. And then as soon as you go past that, it turns into strobe. And then there is sort of a soft click, if you can hear that. There's a soft click which changes the highest mode to strobe. And but sometimes there really isn't a click. If you do it really slowly like that, you won't really hear the click, or you'll hear the click after strobe already engages. So doing it fast is something you might not want to do, or else you'll get strobe too readily. As you can see, the beam looks pretty good there in the next room. Even indoors you can still make out that sort of shape to it, but outdoors you're not going to see that so much. But as I say, if you turn it too fast, you'll get strobe right away like that. But if you go kind of slowly, and you can kind of get the feel for when you're at the top, for when you're, well, for you can get the feel for when you've kind of maxed out, when you've maxed it out and come to the end. But strobe is the only emergency mode that's on here. There is no other emergency mode. So, and of course with the switch the way it is, you can turn this off in any position you want and turn it back on, obviously in the same position, because as long as you don't change the dial, you're not changing anything. So you can move it into strobe if you like, and then turn it off. And of course you can do that with tactical. You can just lightly press the button and get tactical strobe at any time you want, and click it for locked in strobe, or click it back to regular mode. So if you're using it for self-defense, having that strobe there can be kind of handy, especially turning it off and turning it on when you're locked into the strobe mode. So that's something you can't do on a lot of flashlights. You have to engage strobe from most modes that you happen to be in. But and there you see, just the slightest turn of that dial does diminish the output. But there it is on the highest mode, which has actually been clocked at just over 1,000 lumens. But Nitecore has good quality. Of course, the lens is a nicely coated anti-reflective, anti-scratch lens, and there's a lot of quality that goes into a Nitecore flashlight. So even though some of them may have a couple of features that you're not so crazy about, you do always get that Nitecore quality. But by and large, that is the flashlight. It's a very simple, very easy to use light, as you can see. Just basically turn it off and turn it on. That's it. The link is below if you want to check out my written review, see the outdoor beam shots, and of course you can pick one up on Amazon. Leave me questions, comments if you like. And that's it for the Nitecore MT22C. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you next time for more with lightsandgear.com. Take it easy.